Hello, welcome back to MidEast In-Depth, part of Levant TV's press reviews. Today we will be talking about Palestine. Mahmoud Jaraba and Lihi bin Shitrit write for the Lebanese Daily Star an opinion piece titled "The Contested Return of Mohammed Dahlan." Last March the 10th, the Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas gave a speech broadcast on state TV to the 120 members of Fatah's Revolutionary Council. Abbas devoted about half of his 2-hour speech to accusations against Mahmoud Dahlan, the former head of the Palestinian Authority Preventive Security Service in the Gaza Strip. Abbas accused Dahlan, who is expelled from Fatah in 2011, and no longer holds a position in the Palestinian Authority, of corruption, assassinations and treasonous collaboration with Israel. Abbas even hinted that Dahlan may have played a role in the death of Yasser Arafat. The writer adds that the Abbas-Dahlan dispute highlights the chaos and bitter succession crisis in Fatah, and it threatens to further deteriorate the movement's public image and alienate Palestinian public opinion. Even worse, it may lead to violence between supporters of each side within Fatah before the movement's General Conference next August. The escalating dispute has led to what appears to be a bitter succession crisis. Fatah has had plenty of factional disputes in the past, but the current one has been the most damaging given its timing and the high profile of the parties involved. Fatah is scheduled to hold its 7th General Conference in August to select a new leadership, but fragmentation at both the leadership and grassroots levels threatens to make the coming month increasingly turbulent. The movement's predicament is bound to intensify in the coming weeks now that there is deadlock in the Israeli-Palestinian peace talks. The internal conflict within Fatah has had far-reaching consequences in Gaza, where Dahlan is very popular among Fatah members. He is said to have thousands of supporters within Fatah in the territory. His popularity in Gaza was evident in 2006 parliamentary elections, in which he won a landslide victory. Moreover, the writers add, it appears that Hamas has begun a tentative rapprochement with Dahlan to reduce the siege on Gaza from the Egyptian side, as Dahlan is considered close to the military regime in Egypt. Dahlan is said to have influence in Palestinian refugee camps in Jordan and Lebanon, among the governments of the United Arab Emirates. There have been reports also of meetings between Field Marshal Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and Dahlan, with Sisi attempting to facilitate Dahlan's readmission into Fatah. And finally, Jaraba and bin Shitrit say Dahlan's televised attack on Abbas, which was broadcast from Egypt, would not have been possible without a green light from Egypt's military regime. The Egyptian regime sees in him a counterforce to Hamas, given his popularity with Fatah supporters in Gaza, and even to the Egyptian Muslim Brotherhood supporters in Sinai, given the presence of some of his men there. Staying in Israel and Palestine, Isabel Kirchner writes in the New York Times an article titled "After Failed Peace Talks Pushing to Label Israel as Occupier of Palestinian New Diplomatic Agenda and Efforts." The writer starts by saying more than a year after Palestine was upgraded to become a non-member observer state of the United Nations, the attributes of statehood exist mainly on official Palestinian letterhead. But now, with the collapse of the American-brokered Middle East negotiations, the Palestinian leadership is focusing on its diplomatic and legal struggle for international recognition of Palestine as a state under occupation and for Israel to be held accountable as the occupier. Last month, in a move that angered Israel and Washington, President Mahmoud Abbas of the Palestinian Authority signed applications to join 15 international treaties and conventions after Israel missed the deadline for releasing Palestinian prisoners. Kirchner says, in the absence of negotiations, the Palestinians plan to proceed cautiously as they join more than 40 other treaties and agencies, culminating in an application to join the International Criminal Court in The Hague. The court is seen by the Palestinians as a powerful tool because experts say Israel risks prosecution there for its policy of settlement building in the West Bank and East Jerusalem, territories Israel seized in the 1967 war and which, along with the Gaza Strip, the Palestinians claim for their state. Experts say a Palestinian state could potentially be held responsible for every rocket fired into Israeli civilian areas by militants in Gaza, which is controlled by the militant group Hamas. But by joining the International Criminal Court and coming under its jurisdiction, the Palestinians could open themselves to potential investigations requested by pro-Israeli non-governmental organizations or the United Nations Security Council under court rules, even if Israel is not itself a member. The writer quotes Alan Baker, a former legal advisor to the Israeli Foreign Ministry, saying, quote, "The whole idea was to declare Israeli settlements as one of the most serious crimes against humanity," said Mr. Baker, who now works at the Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs, a conservative-leaning research institute. Yet at the same time, Mr. Baker, himself a settler, and some other Israelis dismissed the risks of Israel's being prosecuted for the settlements. And joining us today over the phone is UK-based political analyst and blogger Maisoon Rice. Thank you very much for being on MidEast In-Depth.
Hello, Carl.
Hello. In her article in the New York Times, Isabel Kirshner writes, "Now with the collapse of the American brokered Middle East negotiations, the Palestinian leadership is focusing on its diplomatic and legal struggle for international recognition of Palestine as a state under occupation by Israel." From that quote, can I ask you, Maisoon, to what extent do you believe America is genuine in brokering a peace accord, be it a two-state solution or any other form of compromise?
I'm sorry, I will never accept the United States as an honest broker in Palestinian issue. Being Palestinian myself, I will never recognize the jurisdiction of the United States or the UK or anybody else for that matter. What happens in Palestine has to do with the Palestinian people and everybody that's seated there. The United States is not an honest broker. How can it be when 99% of the United States government is Zionist occupied, or should I say Israeli occupied, when the vast majority of the American government officials are of Jewish roots, and therefore they tend to have a bias towards Israel anyway. Mm-hmm. And I mean, to take for instance, John Kerry himself. John Kerry is of Jewish roots. John Kerry, who is a Masonic skull and bones man, is an avowed Zionist. So none of these people have any right to dictate to Palestinians how their state should be or must be. Mm-hmm. I mean, they've been arguing about us having a two-state solution, but they don't want us to be recognized by the international community. They're outraged that Abbas went to the United Nations so that Palestine could be recognized by the UN. Mm-hmm. So that it could have the same rights as any other member state in the United Nations. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is a farce. The only peace, people have to understand this, and I have proof of it. If you look at the Israeli flag, you have the Masonic Star of David in the middle, and it's encompassed by two blue lines. I don't know if your viewers understand or know what those two blue lines mean.
Would you elaborate on that?
I certainly will. Those two blue lines represent the Nile and the Euphrates. When Israel was created by the United Nations after America used a lot of bribery and blackmail against other member states to vote in its favor, Israel was created, and the agreement was that its boundaries would stay undefined. Mm-hmm. Now, the Nile and the Euphrates is actually the real boundaries of what I call the Eretz Israeli Empire. Their empire will extend from North Africa, from Egypt, right across through the whole of the Middle East. Even Cyprus is included in their agenda, and right up to the Euphrates, that is Turkey and parts of Iran.
Yes, but
that is your Eretz Israeli Empire, and the only peace that Israel understands is not the PACE peace that we all understand, or what the Palestinians have been yearning for decades and decades. The only peace Israel understands is taking the rest of Palestine, PIECE, piece by piece until they have taken complete control of the whole of the ancient state of Palestine. And this nonsense about creating a Palestinian state, why should we create a Palestinian state? Palestine existed long before the Israeli entity existed. The state of Israel did not even exist at the time of biblical times.
Yes.
What we had during biblical times in the land of Canaan was when the Jews were being the Hebrews, should I say, not the Jews, and I'm talking about which a lot of Arabs would understand, Bani Israel, when they were being persecuted by Pharaoh.
Yes.
God offered them refuge into the land of Canaan, which they keep using as an abusive way to lay claims on the ancient land of Palestine. That is, they were God's chosen people, and that God gave them the land of Canaan to do what they want with it. I'm sorry, God told them that they could go there for refuge. He gave them a covenant. They breached that covenant. They broke that covenant through their arrogance with God. And I'm talking about Bani Israel. And the people that you have squatting in occupied Palestine today are not Semitic. They have no Semitic blood in them. They have no rights, no biblical links to the ancient state of Palestine. These people are converts. They do not belong. They do not have genetic roots to the Holy Land at all.
Maisoon, can we get back to the article, and would you be able to comment a little bit on the apartheid statement by U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry? And do you think he is the right person to broker a deal that would be fair to the Palestinians?
No, not at all. No, I'm sorry, none of them have any rights to broker a deal for the Palestinian people. These people are vowed Zionists. I mean, if I give you a comparison, it's like asking a rapist to come and testify in a case that he himself raped the victim. This is what the politics is like in the United States when it comes to Palestine. You can't ask an abuser to be your honest broker when they're assisting Israel every which way.
They did make an effort, though, to broker peace deals. They've been in this since the times.
This is not genuine. This is not a genuine effort. Yes. They have to show the world that they're trying to do something, but deep down, they are not even 100%. They're 1,000% behind Israel. They have given Israel their blessings to do what she wants. I mean, this is a farce. We are facing hypocrisy, double standards. The United States is two-faced. In one breath, it's saying, he wants to support Abbas, he wants to support the Palestinians.
We do respect your opinion, Maisoon Rice, political analyst, known for your straightforward views, although controversial, but we do respect them. They represent you, of course. And thank you very much again for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. And for more updates, please visit levant.tv. That was it for today. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.